Hello and welcome to TV9 Digital. I'm Abhijit Singh Bhamra. It's almost like a bottle snatching spree which has taken over the Euro 2020. More than the action on the football pitch, it's more about the action inside the press box, and also the press conferences carried out by some of the biggest names in football. You have Cristiano Ronaldo, Paul Pogba and an Italy superstar who have just shattered UEFA by just picking, or rather moving the bottles away from the press conferences. And to talk more on this and what is the kind of impact that is likely to create in India, in the Indian markets, we have Harish Bijoor, the brand guru and also the founder of Harish Consultants. If I get that right, sir. Thanks a lot for talking to us, first of all.
Pleasure being here.
Yeah, so I'll just come straight to the point, sir. Now, Coke has lost over $4 billion due to the Cristiano Ronaldo's outburst. And by just picking up a couple of bottles from his end towards his right, and he's also advocated to drink water. Now that has created waves in the world markets, not to forget the Indian markets as well. But I would like to ask you, how much of this will have a repercussion on the Indian markets in particular?
Okay, see, firstly, Euro 2020 has been, a disaster for brands. At least two brands. We're talking about Coca-Cola and Heineken for the moment. We have had 3 stars actually moving the bottles away, and to an extent, brand de-endorsement is happening. When I look at it, how does it impact India? India, it does not impact at this point of time. But over a period of time, there will be a movement within India where, consumers and possibly fans are going to demand their brand endorsers, people who they look up to as sports stars and cine stars, and they're going to ask them and say, hey guys, please reconsider the kind of brands you endorse. Are they good for me? If they're good for me as your fan, as your follower, as a consumer, please endorse. If you think they're not good for me, please don't endorse. So I think internationally, globally, with Ronaldo, Pogba and Locatelli, whatever they've done, it's been a top-down movement. They have done it. But in India, I do believe it will become a bottom-up movement, wherein fans will ask brand endorsers to reevaluate what they advertise.
Right, and also this kind of move was an unexpected one, especially coming out from superstars, and given the fan following they create. Now, I'll just connect it to Indian superstars. Do you expect Indian sports persons, the top elite sports persons like Virat Kohli, PV Sindhu or even others, to do something similar in the future? And what if they did? I'm repeating myself again, it is a hypothetical question, but what if they do, and will that decision of theirs impact the Indian markets big time?
Well, not really, because if there are no brand endorsers can be created from scratch for brands. Whether sports stars and cine stars are going to do this in India, maybe yes. At least the first star who's going to do it in a big manner is going to get a lot of eyeballs. But as a matter of habit, I think stars are going to wait and watch. They're trying to evaluate, how is this? Is this a movement at all? Is this an anecdotal piece where Ronaldo came in and moved 2 bottles of Coke aside, and then in came Pogba and moved Heineken aside, and then why did Locatelli come in and move Coke again? Is this becoming a cascade movement? Indian cine stars and the sports stars are going to watch for that, and maybe you'll have one of them standing up and say that I will do the same thing again. It's an eyeballs game.
Right, and Mr. Harish, see, there's a lot of money that rides in global tournaments, and UEFA Euro 2020 is just a masterpiece of that. Lots of money riding on the tournament, and with players coming out with such kind of unexpected move, that is bound to actually hurt the brands in particular. So the connecting question would be, that should there be some kind of protocol, or is there a kind of a protocol when it comes to this branding, and when the players will be told that, listen, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, because this is where the money pumps in, and this is how things will move forward, because at the end of the day, it's a big money game as well.
Well, let me put it this way. The protocols are all there. Players actually sign agreements. Players who actually sponsor and who participate actually sign agreements. But then what gives that one star does not become a rebel star? When one was looking at that press conference where, initially Ronaldo came in and did what he did, nobody expected that to happen. It was a quiet move, and Agua was a motion that he made, and he said something. Now, the thing is, stars will not care at times for what is written down. Just as long as it does not hurt them, they will go out there. And to an extent, these three stars are going to be viewed as rebel stars in the world of football, rebel stars as far as Euro 2020 is concerned, and rebel stars on the press conference circuits, because all of them chose the very high eyeball press conference to showcase their thinking. So this will happen everywhere. Brands have to be circumspect, brands have to be careful, brands have to have their finger on the pulse of their consumers to understand how they think. If they find that consumers and viewers of football love what Ronaldo and Pogba and Locatelli have done, they should be careful and move out of that space. But that's for brands to decide, and I'm sure brands are thinking it out as of now.
Now with UEFA coming out with a kind of a stern warning to all the participating teams and the players as well, do you expect players to just go out there and express themselves again despite the warning?
Expressing oneself is a personal right, and there will be warnings. Players will still do what they think they must do. Because there is a certain degree of player spontaneity that comes out, okay? And that spontaneity is actually hitting the boards at this point of time. But believe it or not, there is a kind of a travesty in this entire situation. Sports like football have been built by brands of beverages for years, decades. And, not only sports as such, the football, the tourney, the UEFA as such, but even sports stars have been built by sponsorship money. And therefore, suddenly, when you find the same money comes back to bite you, you worry. And I think life has come a full circle. The very same sport that beverages promoted, the very same sports stars who beverages promoted, and they promoted the beverages in turn, the very same stars are possibly turning back and biting. So I think this is very interesting times.
Right, absolutely interesting times indeed. But just one last question. With this soft drink beverage and Heineken and everyone facing heat due to some of the star players, do you expect them to be continuously associated with global tournaments, or will they say, no, we need to take this issue a big time and then possibly decide as to whether we will be associated with global tournaments or not? What do you think? What will be, what kind of
brands will still associate themselves with global tournaments, but brands will be more prepared, because what has happened is I dub it. I've given it a name. I call it the brand de-endorsement of the decade. That's exactly what's happened. It is a brand snub moment. Now, brands will continue endorsing sports, continue endorsing sports stars, film stars, but they will be more circumspect, more careful as to how overt they're going to be. How overt they're going to be in putting their brands out there on the press conference table.
Yeah.
I suspect brands will totally vanish out of press conference tables for the moment at least. The monies will still flow into soccer, into stars, but the brands, the overt throw of brands into the face is going to change. And that's sensitivity, marketing, brand sensitivity coming into play because of brand de-endorsement, because of the brand snub moments that have occurred at Euro 2020.
A big call from Brand Guru, Mr. Harish Bijoor, that brands will continue to support global tournaments, but it might happen that the brands might vanish from the press conferences. On that note, thanks a lot, Mr. Harish Bijoor, for your patience, for your inputs and time. And like Mr. Harish Bijoor said, that the money will be coming in, but stricter protocols could be the need of the hour to ensure that the brands who are being a part of these global tournaments get the value which they have pumped in. On that note, That's all what we have for you. And for all the news and updates, please continue watching TV9 Digital. Thanks a lot.